Respected audience, today I stand before you to honor the courage, sacrifice, and unwavering determination of the freedom fighters who changed the course of history. Freedom fighters are not just individuals, they are symbols of resistance, justice, and hope. They are the ones who dared to dream of a better tomorrow, even when the odds were against them. From Mahatma Gandhi's peaceful resistance to Nelson Mandela's fight against apartheid, from the sacrifices of Bhagat Singh to the bravery of Martin Luther King Jr., history is filled with warriors who stood against oppression. Their struggles remind us that freedom is never given. It is earned through resilience, sacrifice, and unity. The price of freedom is often high, paid with blood, sweat, and sacrifice. But their efforts were not in vain. Today we enjoy rights and liberties because of their selfless fight. However, freedom is not just about breaking physical chains, it is about ensuring equality, justice, and dignity for all. The battle for true freedom continues even today. Many people across the world still face injustice, discrimination, and tyranny. As citizens of a free world, it is our responsibility to uphold the values for which our freedom fighters gave their lives. Let us honor them not just with words, but with actions by standing against oppression, defending human rights, and ensuring that no one is deprived of the liberty they deserve. Let us remember the spirit of a freedom fighter lives in every individual who stands for truth, who speaks against injustice, and who fights for a world where freedom is not just a privilege, but a right for all. Freedom fighters are more than just historical figures. They are the torchbearers of justice, symbols of resilience, and the voice of the oppressed. These brave individuals rise against tyranny and injustice, often putting their lives on the line for a cause greater than themselves. They fight not for personal gain, but for the collective freedom of their people, their nation, and future generations. A freedom fighter is someone who refuses to accept oppression as fate. They challenge the status quo and ignite movements that reshape societies. Whether through armed struggle, peaceful protests, or powerful words, their fight is always fueled by a deep love for their homeland and an unbreakable belief in justice. What makes a freedom fighter truly remarkable is not just their courage but their selflessness. They endure hardships, imprisonment, torture, and even death, yet they remain unshaken in their commitment to their cause. They inspire others to rise, uniting people under the banner of hope and resistance. History has seen many such warriors, some celebrated, others forgotten. Some have fought with weapons, while others have fought with ideas. But their mission remains the same: to free their people from oppression, discrimination, and injustice. They are the ones who refuse to bow before tyranny, who sacrifice personal comfort for the greater good, and who leave behind a legacy of courage and resilience throughout history. The world has witnessed extraordinary individuals who stood up against oppression, sacrificing their lives for the greater good of their people. These freedom fighters, despite coming from different backgrounds and cultures, shared a common goal to liberate their nations and uphold the principles of justice, equality, and dignity. One of the most iconic freedom fighters in history is Mahatma Gandhi, who led India's struggle for independence from British rule through nonviolent resistance. His principles of satyagraha, truth, and nonviolent protest inspired millions, proving that change can be achieved without bloodshed. Gandhi's ability to mobilize an entire nation through peaceful means remains one of the greatest lessons in human history. On the other hand, some freedom fighters chose a more direct path to liberation. Bhagat Singh, one of India's most revered revolutionaries, believed that action was necessary to awaken the people against colonial rule. His courage, unwavering determination, and ultimate sacrifice at a young age made him a symbol of resistance and patriotism. Moving beyond India, Nelson Mandela played a crucial role in ending apartheid in South Africa. After spending 27 years in prison, he emerged not with vengeance, but with a vision of unity and reconciliation. His leadership paved the way for a democratic South Africa, making him an enduring figure in the global fight against racial oppression. Similarly, Martin Luther King Jr. fought for civil rights in the United States, advocating for racial equality and justice through peaceful protest. His famous I Have a Dream speech continues to inspire movements worldwide, reminding us that true freedom is not just about independence, but also about ensuring equal rights for all. History also remembers Che Guevara, a revolutionary leader who played a pivotal role in the Cuban Revolution. His fight against imperialism and his vision of a just society made him a global symbol of rebellion. Though controversial, his dedication to his ideals remains an example of unwavering commitment to a cause. These are just a few of the many freedom fighters who have shaped history. From Joan of Arc, who led the French army against English invasion, to Simon Bolivar, who fought for South American independence, every nation has its own heroes who dared to challenge oppression. Their struggles, sacrifices, and victories remind us that freedom is never freely given, it must be fought for. The stories of these heroes continue to inspire generations, urging us to stand against injustice and defend the rights of the oppressed. Freedom is one of the most valuable gifts a person or a nation can have, but it never comes without a cost. The price of freedom is often paid with blood, sweat, and sacrifice. Throughout history, millions of brave individuals have laid down their lives, endured suffering, and faced immense hardships so that future generations could live in a world free from oppression. The struggle for freedom is rarely easy. It demands courage, perseverance, and selflessness. Freedom fighters have had to endure imprisonment, torture, exile, and even death in their quest for justice. They knew that challenging powerful oppressors meant putting everything at risk, yet they willingly stepped forward because they believed that their sacrifice would lead to a better world. One of the most significant examples of the cost of freedom is the countless lives lost in wars for independence. Whether it was the American Revolution, the Indian independence movement, or the struggles against colonial rule in Africa and Asia, brave men and women took up arms, knowing that they might not live to see the results of their struggle. They fought not for themselves, but for the generations that would come after them. Even those who chose peaceful means to fight for freedom paid a heavy price. Mahatma Gandhi was repeatedly imprisoned, yet he never abandoned his vision of a free and united India. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison for opposing apartheid, sacrificing his personal life and freedom for the rights of his people. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated for daring to dream of racial equality. These sacrifices remind us that fighting for freedom requires immense resilience and determination. The cost of freedom is also evident in the suffering endured by ordinary people during times of struggle. Families were torn apart, entire communities were displaced, and economic hardships were widespread. Yet, despite these challenges, the spirit of resistance remained strong because people understood that freedom was worth any sacrifice. Even after independence is achieved, the fight for freedom does not end. Societies must continue to guard against threats to their liberties, whether from external forces or corrupt leaders within their own nations. Freedom is not something that, once attained, remains forever. It must be protected and nurtured through constant vigilance, unity, and dedication to justice. Freedom is often seen as the breaking of physical chains, the overthrowing of oppressive rulers, or the end of colonial rule. However, true freedom goes far beyond the mere absence of foreign rule or dictatorship. It is not just about independence from external forces, but also about ensuring justice, equality, and dignity for every individual within a society. A nation may achieve political independence, but if its people continue to suffer from discrimination, economic inequality, or lack of basic human rights, then true freedom has not yet been realized. History has shown that even after winning independence, many countries have struggled with internal oppression where one group dominates another based on caste, race, religion, or economic status. In such cases, freedom fighters must continue their struggle, not against an external enemy, but against systems of injustice within their own lands. For example, after India gained independence in 1947, the battle for social justice continued. Issues like poverty, caste discrimination, and gender inequality needed to be addressed to ensure that all citizens could truly enjoy the fruits of freedom. Similarly, in the United States, although slavery was abolished in the 19th century, African Americans continued to face racial segregation and discrimination, leading to the civil rights movement led by Martin Luther King Jr. This proves that political freedom alone does not guarantee true equality. It must be accompanied by social, economic, and cultural liberation. Economic freedom is another crucial aspect of true independence. Many nations that have freed themselves from colonial rule still struggle with poverty and economic disparity. When wealth remains concentrated in the hands of a few while millions suffer from hunger and unemployment, freedom remains incomplete. A truly free society ensures that every individual has access to education, healthcare, and opportunities to improve their lives. Freedom also means freedom of thought, speech, and expression. In many parts of the world, people still fear speaking out against injustice due to censorship, political oppression, or threats to their safety. A society cannot be truly free if its people are afraid to voice their opinions, practice their religion, or express their identity. The ability to think freely, share ideas, and challenge injustice is just as important as having the right to vote or choose a government. Women's rights are another critical aspect of freedom beyond physical chains. In many societies, even today, women are denied education, forced into child marriages, or deprived of their fundamental rights. No nation can be considered truly free if half of its population is held back due to outdated traditions and systemic inequality. In essence, freedom is not just about removing an external oppressor, it is about creating a just and fair society where every individual, regardless of their background, can live with dignity and equal rights. The fight for freedom does not end with the raising of a national flag. It continues in the form of social reforms, education, and the ongoing battle against discrimination and injustice. Many people believe that the fight for freedom is a thing of the past, something that ended with the great revolutions and independence movements of history. However, the truth is that the battle for freedom is far from over. Even today in the modern world, millions of people continue to suffer under oppressive regimes, economic exploitation, racial discrimination, and violations of human rights. The struggle for true freedom is a continuous process, requiring constant effort and vigilance. In many parts of the world, people are still fighting for their basic rights. Political oppression remains a harsh reality in several countries where authoritarian governments oppress dissent, silence opposition, and deny people the right to vote or express their opinions freely. Protesters, journalists, and activists risk their lives daily fighting against dictatorship and for democracy. The global demand for human rights has not diminished, it has only evolved into new forms. Beyond politics, social and economic oppression also continue to deny people their freedom. Economic inequality has created a world where a small percentage of the population holds vast wealth while millions struggle for survival. A person is not truly free if they lack access to food, clean water, healthcare, and education. Freedom is not just about having a government of one's choice. It is about having the ability to live a fulfilled life without the shackles of poverty and exploitation. Women's rights remain a critical battleground in the fight for freedom. Even in the 21st century, women in many parts of the world face discrimination, lack of education, forced marriages, and gender based violence. They are denied the right to make decisions about their own lives. A society cannot claim to be free if half of its population is still struggling for basic equality and dignity. The movement for gender justice is not just a women's fight, it is a fight for the true meaning of freedom. Similarly, racial and religious discrimination continue to divide societies. Many communities face oppression simply because of their skin color, ethnicity, or beliefs. Hate crimes, xenophobia, and religious persecution are reminders that the ideals of freedom, equality, and justice are still not a reality for everyone. True freedom can only exist in a world where all people are treated with respect and fairness, regardless of their background. The modern fight for freedom has also extended into the digital world. Censorship, online surveillance, and suppression of free speech threaten the ability of people to express themselves openly. In many countries, governments use technology to monitor and control their citizens, limiting their access to information and punishing those who speak against injustice. The internet was once seen as a tool for liberation, but now it has become another battlefield in the fight for freedom. The lesson from history is clear: freedom is never permanent. It must be defended, protected, and expanded with each passing generation. The fight today may not always take the form of armed revolution, but the spirit of resistance, activism, and standing against injustice must continue. The responsibility of ensuring freedom for all does not lie only with governments or leaders. It lies with every individual who believes in justice, equality, and human dignity. Freedom is not something that, once achieved, can be taken for granted. It is a precious gift earned through the sacrifices of countless brave individuals who fought against oppression, injustice, and tyranny. However, the responsibility of preserving and upholding freedom does not rest solely on the shoulders of past generations or political leaders. It is the duty of every citizen, every individual, to protect and nurture the principles of liberty, justice, and equality in their daily lives. The first step in upholding freedom is awareness and education. A society that does not understand its own history is at risk of repeating past mistakes. Learning about the struggles of freedom fighters, the revolutions that shaped nations, and the sacrifices made for justice helps us appreciate the value of the freedoms we enjoy today. Education empowers individuals to recognize oppression, speak against injustice, and make informed decisions that protect democratic values. Another crucial aspect of safeguarding freedom is active participation in democracy. The right to vote, express opinions, and engage in political discourse should never be taken lightly. In many parts of the world, people have fought and died for the right to vote. Yet in democratic nations today, many individuals neglect this responsibility, failing to participate in elections or hold their leaders accountable. A true democracy thrives only when its citizens are engaged, informed, and willing to challenge corruption and injustice. Freedom is also upheld through defending human rights. We live in a world where many still suffer due to racism, gender inequality, religious persecution, and economic exploitation. It is the moral duty of every person to stand against discrimination and advocate for the rights of others. Remaining silent in the face of injustice is the same as allowing oppression to continue. Whether it is standing up for a marginalized community, supporting refugees, or fighting against workplace exploitation, every action in defense of human dignity contributes to a freer world. Freedom of speech and expression is another pillar that must be protected. In some countries, speaking out against the government or questioning authority can lead to imprisonment or worse. Even in democratic societies, voices are often silenced through media control, censorship, or social pressure. It is essential for individuals to support a culture of open discussion where different opinions can be expressed without fear. Freedom of thought and expression ensures that societies continue to progress and adapt to the changing world. Furthermore, economic and social justice play a vital role in upholding freedom. A person who is struggling to afford basic necessities or is trapped in a system of economic inequality does not truly experience freedom. Governments, institutions, and individuals must work to create opportunities for all, ensuring access to quality education, fair wages, and a system that allows people to rise based on their talents and efforts. A nation where only the wealthy have opportunities while the poor remain in suffering is not a truly free nation. Protecting freedom also requires resisting authoritarian tendencies in governments, institutions, and even within society. History has shown that oppression does not always come suddenly, often creeps in through small losses of liberty. When people accept restrictions in the name of security, allow censorship in the name of stability, or ignore discrimination because it does not affect them directly, freedom slowly erodes. Being vigilant against such dangers, questioning authority when necessary, and ensuring that power remains in the hands of the people are essential responsibilities. Finally, upholding freedom means leading by example. Every action we take, whether big or small, contributes to the kind of society we live in. Teaching younger generations the importance of justice, treating others with respect, and promoting kindness and equality in everyday life are ways in which individuals can carry forward the legacy of freedom fighters. The fight for freedom is not always in grand battles, it is in the small acts of courage, integrity, and responsibility that people show in their daily lives. Freedom fighters did not sacrifice their lives and endure hardships so that they could be remembered only in history books or on special occasions. Their struggles and sacrifices were made with a vision of a better future where justice, equality, and human dignity prevail. While we honor them with words, true respect for their legacy comes from our actions by living according to the values they fought for and ensuring that their sacrifices were not in vain. One of the most meaningful ways to honor freedom fighters is by preserving and protecting the freedoms they won. Many nations have gained independence from colonial rule, dictatorship, or oppression, but freedom is never a permanent state. If people become complacent, fail to participate in democracy, or allow corruption to flourish, the very rights that were fought for can be taken away. Every citizen has a role in safeguarding democracy, whether by voting, engaging in civil discourse, or holding leaders accountable. The best tribute to freedom fighters is to prevent the return of the injustices they struggled against. Another important way to honor their legacy is by fighting against modern forms of oppression. Just because colonial rulers or oppressive regimes are no longer in power does not mean that inequality and injustice have disappeared. Discrimination based on race, caste, gender, and economic status still exists in many parts of the world. Many people continue to be deprived of education, healthcare, and basic human rights. If we truly respect the sacrifices of past freedom fighters, we must actively work towards social justice, ensuring that no one is denied the dignity they deserve. Educating future generations is also a powerful way to honor freedom fighters. Many young people today may not fully understand the struggles of the past or the importance of the freedoms they enjoy. Schools, families, and communities must pass down these stories not as mere historical events, but as lessons on courage, resilience, and responsibility. When young people understand the value of freedom, they are more likely to cherish and protect it. Beyond education, taking action in our own communities is a way to carry forward the spirit of freedom fighters. Standing up against discrimination, Helping the underprivileged, supporting fair and just policies, and being an active part of social change all contribute to the ideals of freedom. We may not be fighting wars of independence today, but we can fight for fairness, kindness, and equality in our everyday lives. Defending free speech and independent thought is another crucial way to uphold the legacy of freedom fighters. Many revolutions and independence movements began with the courage to speak out against injustice. Even today, freedom of speech is under threat in various parts of the world, where people are silenced for expressing their opinions. Supporting free press, standing against censorship, and encouraging diverse viewpoints keeps societies open and democratic. A truly free society is one where people can think, speak, and express themselves without fear. Another meaningful way to respect the sacrifices of freedom fighters is by serving the nation and contributing to its progress. Many of them dreamed of a prosperous and self-reliant country, and it is our duty to help fulfill that vision. This does not necessarily mean joining politics or activism. It can be as simple as being a responsible citizen, working with integrity, helping in community development, or contributing to innovation and progress. Every effort to build a stronger, fairer, and more just society is a tribute to those who fought for our freedom. Ultimately, the best way to honor freedom fighters is by ensuring that their sacrifices lead to real, lasting change. Their fight was not just for independence from foreign rulers, but for a world where justice prevails and all people can live with dignity. By taking action, no matter how small, we become part of their legacy, ensuring that their dreams of freedom, equality, and justice continue to live on through you. Start freedom is not just a privilege, it is a responsibility. The sacrifices of our freedom fighters were not made for us to be passive beneficiaries, but active guardians of the values they stood for. Their struggles were not just about winning independence or overthrowing oppression, they were about creating a world where justice, equality, and human dignity prevail. As we remember their courage and dedication, let us ask ourselves, are we doing enough to protect and uphold the freedoms they fought for? Are we ensuring that future generations inherit a world that is free from discrimination, injustice, and oppression? Honoring freedom fighters is not about merely remembering them on special occasions. It is about carrying forward their mission in our everyday lives. It is about standing up for what is right, defending the weak, speaking out against injustice, and working towards a fair and just society. The battle for freedom is never truly over. Every time we choose truth over falsehood, justice over oppression, and courage over fear, we continue their fight. Let us pledge today to be worthy of their sacrifices, to build a world where freedom is not just a right on paper, but a reality for all. The responsibility now rests with us. Will we rise to the occasion, or will let their sacrifices fade into history? The choice is ours.